Yeah, Chris Allgood here.
And Audra Keeler. Hey, everybody.
I think my mic was off there for a second. Always technical difficulties, but now I seem to be recording. We have a very special set of guests tonight. We have Ron Yacovetti and Lourdes Gonzalez, and they have submitted, you are all in for a real treat tonight. They have submitted some amazing paranormal evidence. We were blown away when we were reviewing this to put the show together, and I think you're going to love what you see tonight. But welcome, Ron and Lourdes. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Nice. Pleasure being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. We were excited to do this. We're long-time admirers of what you do and the work you guys have been doing. So this is a really cool coming together, and I love this. It looks like we're on some kind of a partially funded dating show.
I
know, right?
We just
Your first question is.
We just need 3 more squares, and we've got the Brady Bunch.
Oh man,
too funny. You know what? Before we get started, and I'm sure a lot of our guests who are watching and maybe people who are tuning in for the first time probably know who you guys are, because I know you've been around in the paranormal just as long, if not longer, than the rest of us. Well, why don't you just tell us a little bit about, maybe what groups? I know, Lourdes, you've listed Island Paranormal, and Ron, I know you've got different ITC groups that you are running. Why don't you just give them a little history and background on both of you and your paranormal, how you got into it and how you got to where you are today.
we started when a temp agency sent us out because there was no admin work. And no. I started, and my start will segue into hers. I started when I lived in Los Angeles. I lived in LA for 14 years, and probably close to 9 years ago or so. And countless hours I did starting out on the Queen Mary. I did a lot of the public investigations. I did a lot of the Southern and Central California area stuff. I loved it. When I was out there, I was first put on a group called Paranormal Association or Assignment Research Association, and a good friend of ours, Katie Foreman, who's out there with a group called CalPara. We were collaborative with them a lot. And then when I moved back to New Jersey in 2014, I was on Central Jersey Paranormal Research Group. They since kind of imploded, or I guess the group kind of fell apart. The husband and wife, Mike and Kathy Dowd, started it, moved to Pennsylvania. So the group's defunct now. And then from there, I worked with a couple different groups. Barefoot Paranormal, we were with for a little while. So we've been blessed to work with some really talented groups and people. Island Paranormal, most recently, Seekers Club with the Paranormal in Brooklyn. We collaborate with a lot. Unseen Paranormal, New Jersey. And then you got started.
Yeah, I had paranormal experiences at a very young age, but I was always interested, but I never got into it until I met Ron in 2016. So I'm kind of new, but I caught on quickly because I have a good teacher. Of course,
that always helps.
It's the student too, It's a lot of people in the field can lay claim to years and years and years, but if we both work an 8-hour shift and I take 7 hours of lunch, how productive is that? So it's what you do with the time. She's been really, really diligent about learning from everybody and everywhere, not just me. And she's really been a student of the game, which we all remain. So if we're really serious, and so that's why I think she's more experienced beyond her years, which is a credit to oneself.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It is.
That's going to earn you points later, Ron.
Yeah.
and it's on the internet, so it's true.
And if it's on the internet, it has to be true.
It has to be true. That Abraham Lincoln, lead singer for Aerosmith.
So true. So true. All right. I know Cherie had one question because she asked anybody who, is in a relationship. So why don't you ask the question? I know you're dying
I know.
to ask.
I've been asking this every couple guests that we had.
That are couples, right?
Right. So how do you guys work together as a couple when it comes to, when you guys do the paranormal investigations? Who's the most dominant?
Whoa, I thought this was a paranormal show,
I
guys.
immediately got an opportunity to lose the points I just got. Almost instantaneously, I get the opportunity.
We're always
to lose my
blaming
stature.
the husband, or
I know where she's going with this question. I mean, there's been times that we've gotten an EVP and we literally completely disagreed on what was being said.
yeah, we always disagree.
And I mean, for like 2 days, she didn't talk to me because we obviously that EVP went in the trash and we never used it because
Are you guys like that too?
we were hearing completely different things.
Yeah.
That never happens over here.
No.
Do I sense some sarcasm?
all the time.
The screw says no, and Audra,
Oh,
no arguments.
It's like, I'm like, how could you not hear that? And then he's like, how
Exactly.
could you not hear that?
And it's funny.
totally.
A lot of times it sneaks up on us too because it'll come after we just heard something together and figured it out together and we're completely in sync. And then the next thing, it's like we're hearing completely different stuff. Like, who are you?
all the time.
In investigations, he is the dominant one because he does his thing and I let him do his thing. But when it comes to reviewing, we're equal there.
Well, sometimes we aren't.
No, I usually do all the reviewing, but I'll have her listen and then she'll hear something completely different. But sometimes after I listen to it a couple more times, I'll hear what she's hearing and I'll be like, okay, wait, you might be right. Of course, if we can't both agree on what's being said, it just goes in the trash. But
Yeah, we've reversed decisions before too. I should say, out of all fairness too, that you're probably familiar from Konstantin Radovich saying that a lot of people who have a propensity to pick up on EVPs or that level of hearing tend to be people in either creative fields like musicians, people who will have tone or pitch acuities. She, by trade, is a court reporter. So she has really, really good hearing. She'll hear things off cadence a lot of times when they come in a little bit quicker, as Radovich would say, that
Right.
a lot of times I won't catch. And then I'll figure the whole rest of the piece out. There's all like a phrase. And I'll figure the whole thing out. But if she didn't catch that one word, I had nothing.
Yep. So true. And, just listening to whether it be EVPs or whether it be ones that come through radio or spirit boxes, it does take a little bit of ear training to be able to pick out because they sometimes speak very fast. They speak in a cadence that's not like normal speech.
Right.
There's all sorts of tones and background noises that they'll use to make their pronunciation more efficient and effective. Right. And some people can't hear over that noise and don't hear the voice above or below it. So it does take
It takes
some ear training to get used to.
Absolutely. So there's a gentleman that we're going to name drop, but I always do this, but like I've done with you guys, the people that we really love and admire. There's a gentleman who's originally from New York State. He's in Gettysburg now. His name was Flip Searles, former corrections officer. He is, for us, the most incredibly attuned ear for EVP. We've been at public events when he'll catch an EVP and he plays it, and everybody's like, he plays it again. Then finally they hear it. But he heard it the first time out. He's so good. And he said one of the things he would do, he would go to like he'd be at a bar or something, and he would pick a conversation to try to tune into and eavesdrop, and then try to block everything else out while he's trying to hone in on that, just to kind of train himself to listen through, the chaos.
It's funny because every time we do disagree, I'm like, oh my God, I wish Flip was here because he would agree with me.
Backup.
Yeah.
Well, that's Flip's law enforcement training. I can tell you that right now because I was in law enforcement here in Arizona for 10 years, and you learn to listen to things that everybody else ignores, and you pick up things that most people don't. And that's where we argue sometimes. Like, no, that's not what I'm hearing. She's like, no, that's not what you're hearing. No, it is what I'm hearing. No, it's not what you're hearing.
So true. Yeah,
it's so funny how something like this can bring us together and be but we'll still we'll go back and forth. We have really gotten good at. You know what we're really good at? We're good at agreeing to disagree.
Yeah.
We're never going to get over this one. Move on.
I was like, yeah, let's just move on. We're not going to agree. Let's move on.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
Well, I hold a grudge for 2 days.
She does. She holds a grudge for a while sometimes. So,
And then we hear about it at the bar.
I know, right?
That's why I learned to just go, "You're right, honey. You're right," and then just it goes in that EVP goes in the trash. But with that said, the first piece of evidence that I want to play is I think this was a straight EVP, and it's titled Captain. So if one of you could just give a brief description of what this clip is before I play it, that'd be great.
I'll set it up, then I'll let her take it.
Sounds good.
The timing is perfect. The gentleman who just talked about, Flip Searles, we went to see him at the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange. It's run by Pamela and Steve Barry, who are really cool people. And we were hunting that night. We didn't have any gear with us. We just went to visit the store. He goes, "Did you bring your gear?" No. He goes, "You didn't bring anything with you?" "No, we're not doing something until later." He goes, "Go out in the back by the shed." So we're in the middle of nowhere on the battlefield. There's nobody for miles. He goes, he gave me one of his Sony recorders, the ICDB-26. He goes, "Take this, go outside." So we go out and we did an EVP session by this little barn.
Broken down barn.
Nobody for miles. And then what happened?
He asked the first question, and it's just me and him. No one else around. And the first question, what was the question again? It was
if you were in the military, if so, what was your rank?
Yep. And immediate response.
All right, so I actually enhanced this one a little bit. Now, I know when I play this, because we're hooked through Zoom and then through other systems to send it out, so you actually won't get to hear it, but you can go back and watch the live again. You'll get to hear it. But let me play that for the audience. So here's the clip they were just speaking about. And here it comes.
I would like to know if you were in fact military, what was your rank?
Now, like I said, I know that you as the guest couldn't hear it, but our audience could. That's pretty darn clear. There is no the last syllable of captain fades off a little bit, but there's no doubt he is clearly answering that question, and he is clearly giving a very distinct, very clear answer to what was your rank, and he says captain.
Yeah, it's phenomenal too when you take into account, like I said, the setting up the scene. Like I know that there's factions of people who don't believe in EVP. Somebody was telling me today that there's somebody in Europe who's got a PhD thesis they're doing about how it's all the brain tricking you, kind of whatever. I don't know. You know what? I'm in the middle. Nobody can whisper that well from a distance.
No.
I mean, it was just me and him. You know, just me and him. Nobody else. There's no other explanation.
Right. And there is so much negativity when you start talking about spirit boxes or even EVPs or other devices. You know, the one major negativity is you're picking up some sort of stray radio wave. Okay, is that a possibility? Sure, it's possible. But how many radio stations are saying my name or calling Mr. Rathman? Or I don't know any that do that. Or at the time we were doing it
in my own language.
Right, when you got Tagalog, we're in the middle of Phoenix. There are no Tagalog radio stations.
Well, actually, we're here at home when you were doing the EVP session, right?
Correct. Right. It's an absolute impossibility. But this 3 or 4 word sentence was Tagalog, and it was aimed at her response. There's no way that can happen.
Right, or even a direct, relevant response.
Yeah,
it's a direct, relevant response. Is it a radio station, really? Like, come on.
and the other point, and I've heard Alexander McCrae talk about this, and when he does EVP sessions, he explains that it's not even so much what follows, but when you ask a question, and then you get a response, and it's 2, 3 words, maybe more. But when the first word relates to the second word relates to the third, and whatever, how many other words, the last word finishes the statement, and that statement is related to the question, the probability of that occurring is like billions to 1. So the mathematical probability of you getting a inline sentence. I mean, if you're using scanning or not using scanning, depending on what type of device you are, the probability of getting 2 or 3 or 4 words that finish or answer your question and complete your answer in a logical, probable sentence order is mathematically almost an impossibility.
Yeah. It's astronomical. I always say that I grade all those things on timing and relevance first and foremost, before even class, A, B, whatever. Of course, those are important to tell if you can discern what's being said, but timing and relevance is everything. Like, you may get random words that come out of the box, whether it's sweeping or not, and you have to figure out if it's a communication or what it is. Now, of course, again, what we have taken on doing for the last year or so of direct radio voice, when you don't have any radio emissions, that's out of the equation. Now, when you're sweeping, then you have human phonemes that are involved, so you might get vocal tones. But again, sweeping or even otherwise too, when you ask a question, first of all, the stray radio emissions thing falls apart when you look at how often does music come through. Where's all the vocals of singing? Where's the Pavarottis and the Justin Biebers when you're asking questions? That doesn't happen. Right. Plus, if you tell me that sweeping or otherwise that I ask a question and I get a direct response that is an answer to that question, that it's coming from radio bleed through, I want to know when they're giving away cash and prizes, because I have phenomenal luck.
Right.
Start asking for lottery numbers at that point, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And that's why we like on direct radio voice, we like using frequencies that are completely barren of radio emissions, because that you lose that element of criticism or that skepticism. And a lot of things, just like a lot of things in life, negativity-born mentalities or ideologies are so often stemmed in ignorance. A lot of people are critical of stuff like even the sweep and ghost boxes. There's a gentleman in Jersey named Stephen Holte. He's fucking brilliant. He builds incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Those devices and the way they work are so easy to be critical of and knock them if you don't know how they work. And I think a lot of people don't take the time to understand how these things work, and they're just, because they're stuck on this can't be possible.
Right.
They can't accept that it actually is doing what it's designed to do.
And unless you've actually obtained one and used it for a considerable amount of time to say it doesn't work, I mean, unless you've put in the time with it, that to me is the biggest flaw in some sort of scientific explanation for it not being able to work. Have you used it? How long have you used it? Have you tried it here or there? Have you? And most of the time they say, no, I didn't use it. It didn't work. So.
Right. And that's a huge thing too, by the way, we've been really big on is it's not science. A lot of people from a skeptical or doubtful point of view, the weapon they wield, the position, the platform that they stand on is science. And so there's this almost infantile mindset that says that spiritual, mystical stuff is one side of the fence and the other side is science. That's not science. That's scientism, which is a term that was coined in the early 1900s from sociologists for the closed-mindedness of this is everything absolute in the universe, and if it doesn't fit into this ideology, it's just
doesn't
gone.
Exist, right.
Go back and examine it again, which science would do. Right. So that's a key difference too. That's where that mentality comes from. Science and the spiritual do not have to be two different things. Historically, they really weren't up until I think it was 1543 to 1565. There was an ecumenical event in Italy called the Council of Trent. There was a huge Protestant movement going on, and then the Catholic churches came together to have an anti-Reformation movement and saying basically this stuff that's measurable and environmental and material, that's all that's science. And then all this spiritual kind of stuff, that's us. And so that's where it went like that. But that's the only reason why.
So true.
So the human beings chose to separate it, but honestly, I believe it's all together, know? It's a long time ago since it was separated. Everybody thinks, that's not science, but it has a lot to do with science, you know?
And the whole point is anything that's considered paranormal just means that science can't explain it yet. It's unknown to science. I mean, years and years ago, a solar eclipse was paranormal. How can the sun be blocked out? Well, today we know why, because science has caught up and said, okay, this is what's happening, and now it makes sense. Well, a lot of things we investigate on the paranormal side science just hasn't caught up to yet, and someday maybe it will, and
Right.
who knows.
And that's the big difference between what science is, right? They couldn't explain it before, but now they can. That is, as you said, that is science. Scientism is when it doesn't fit, and it's never going to fit, so we're done with it. We don't need to look at it again. There's a biologist out of Europe, I believe, Rupert Sheldrake. He sat in on the skull experiments, and he's the one that says that it's a method of inquiry. It's not a dogmatic ideology that you have to try to squeeze stuff into. And so that's so important that's the way it is, because otherwise you just push things aside and then you never really get to the truth.
So true. So true.
Totally agree.
All right, so I'm going to move on to the next clip, and this one is titled "Vacant Office Space," and this one sounds like a spirit box, an SB7 to me. Is that correct?
100%.
I knew exactly what it is.
Yeah.
SB7.
I knew he would know. I had money on that. And Tony's going to visit.
Well, you know what? Everyone always argues what's the best spirit box out there, and people say, oh, you know, it's the 7 or it's the 11, or you know, there's other ones out there. But out of all of them that we've used, and I think we've used and own probably every one that's ever been made, the SB7 actually does work very, very well. Now, you got to be used to the hissing and the sweeping noises, which can be extremely distracting. But let me play this for our audience. Is there anything you want to add before I play it?
Basically, that was an office space where I used to work in New Jersey. If you're for football fans, it's the office is in the shadow of Giant Stadium or the MetLife Stadium, and so it's in that area.
Football fans, Ron.
Yes.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I'm not a huge football fan, but I know where the stadium is. I'm a fan of maps.
All right. Well, let me play this for our audience, and here it comes.
All right, last 20 seconds. Anybody want to say hello, hola, hi, anything? When I leave, you can't talk to me. You can talk to me now. Leaving. Did somebody say leaving? Thank you.
That was very cool.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Very, very clear responses. The woman saying yes. I mean, that is
Leaving.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny those answers that were there. That's incredible, especially from, you know, just a straight SP7. Those are great.
And if you notice, and you guys know this as well or better than we know it, that was the only thing I really addressed in the moment. So how we always tell people getting into the field that are new, always record. When you review, you always find more. I didn't hear all those responses, all those vocals until afterwards. I only heard the one, and then flash forward. That was earlier. That was 2016. I played it one day again for her, like a year ago or less, maybe. And she found another thing that was in there, a vocal. It was a lower decibel level that I didn't even hear reviewing it.
Right.
Wow.
So
Wow.
And that is the most critical point to anyone listening who has an interest in this and has never done it. Recording is so important. I mean, we've been doing this for last decade, and I will sit in front of our Evox, and there's times, even after this amount of time, I don't hear what was said. But when I go back through the recordings, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I caught that this time. And I'll use, 2 recorders plus a video camera to record it, and then I'll verify against one another if I'm hearing the same thing to get the answer. But you're right. Sometimes in that live moment, they're hard to catch. They come quick. They come out of nowhere, and by the time you realize they're speaking, they're done before you even latch onto it, and that's why recording super important to go back to find out what was truly said.
Right.
Yeah, and even when they're using the radio waves to come through, and we don't know, how the communication in two directions is even working. It could be coming in at those decibel levels similar to EVP, below a human vocal tract that we can't hear. And that's why in the moment, even though it's coming through a device that's modulating the sound, it still might be using that somewhat like a carrier wave, but not at a level where our ears can pick it up, especially when it's kind of entangled with the static. Exactly. That was one of the things when we started DRV that fascinated me right off the bat. And I know you're going to show one of the clips afterwards, too, that has to do with the word helicopter. I'm not broadcasting out with a microphone. So the bleed-through radio theory, the suggestion that it's a ham radio or a CB radio or a trucker or two kids with walkie-talkies out in the street, whatever.
A baby monitor.
Yeah, nobody's hearing me ask questions and talk.
Right.
So not only is it beyond fascinating when we get responses, what I became curious about is how is the mechanical wave, because electromagnetic waves can propagate longer and keep going. Mechanical waves that are caused by the vocal tones that we use in speech, they don't go as far. How is that getting to another plane, dimension, apartment, whatever, where someone's responding to me?
Exactly. And that's such a great point, because my dad's a physical science chemistry teacher, and that's one of the first questions he asked me. He's like, well, how are you sending out your voice? Are you amplifying it? And I said, no, I'm speaking just normal. And then he's like, but you're getting replies? How is that happening? Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I know it works.
Well, if you look at one of the models for how sound works, like for television or radio, right? You have frequency division multiplexing. So like when a cable signal gets sent out, you have multiple things that are partitioned, separated, sent out on a cable on one fiber, let's say, or one carrier wave if just audio and radio. And then on the other side, you'll have a wave division multiplexer, which will split them out and then it'll break them off on the receiver side. So I was looking into some of the mechanics of radio that way just to see, like, if there's a possibility, let's say, if we're using radio as our receiver and we're not microphone broadcasting out, is the carrier wave working in either a half or a full duplex system? And a half duplex system is how walkie-talkies work.
Right.
Two-way communication, but it's one at a time. Full duplex like this, or like a phone, the signal on one carrier back and forth. Is that how our voices are getting back and forth? Because really that's part of the wonder of all this stuff. When we talk, somebody who is not in our physical space that we can see is getting the vocal. How?
Exactly. And that's the fascinating part about it, is because you're getting a direct answer to whatever question you ask, but you have not, you're sitting in a building, sometimes in the basement, and you're literally speaking out loud, but to have an answer come out of nowhere. So I could not agree with that more. That is one of the fascinating points to this. But
that's one way that it's possible. I think that's one way that it's possible, that it could be happening in a half or full duplex back and forth setup. The other thing I wanted to say too is that you mentioned the Evox. That's the device that's behind Cherie back there, correct?
No, it's actually, those are all other ones I have. The Evox is actually in my bedroom because I use it daily. But no, those are previous builds prior to the Evox.
He built that one.
I'm on eBay right now looking for that. Until at least like I'm paying attention to this.
$1 million.
I'm waiting for a flash sale on eBay for one of those things you got behind you.
I don't think any of them are on eBay unless Cherie is posting them without my knowledge. I wouldn't put it past her. So
this one got an EVP we didn't agree on. Yeah, she's still holding a bunch.
All right, so I'm gonna play your next clip because I actually love this one. It not only do you get a great response, but it's almost comical. This one is titled "Love Your Heater," and
so that
go ahead, give him an introduction to it.
The brief setup to that one is that I just gotten that portal box, which is comparable to, and Steve Huff actually was kind enough to give me the schematic. My son's stepdad built it for me. And I was trying everything. I was trying apps, Echovox, Portal Plus, Banshee. I was trying everything. I believe in trying everything. Otherwise, it's just like food, right? You don't taste it, you don't know if it's good.
Right.
So I was just messing around with Portal Plus. It was a winter night. I was sitting here by myself. I had no idea that half that stuff came through until I reviewed it. And then I was like, wow, that's entertaining, cool, and creepy at the same time.
and this one is. So let me play this for our audience. I'm sure they'll get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Can you see the animal I have here? What kind of animal do I have in this place? He's laying in front of the heat. Surprised he doesn't burst into flames. You know the cat's name?
I love Peter.
If that's what you said, that is spot on.
I love Peter.
That was when you can get a spirit voice to endorse a product that you have. That can't beat that.
And actually, we was listening to it today, and I found something else in there. There's something else in there too.
Yeah, she did.
The same. It's relevant to the cat and the heater or whatever. I'm like, oh, we didn't even hear that before.
There's actually two or
Really?
3 word
When we were
sentences
when
in
we
there.
were listening,
When I was
there's
going
more.
through it, I'm like, there's a couple of ones in
Yeah.
there, but
Okay, because I was wondering. I was like, maybe they'll pick it up because I was like, they may hear it because I
We
heard it. I was like,
did.
maybe they'll
We were
mention
listening.
it.
yeah, there was another statement about the cat, and then there was something about another statement about
the heater.
another statement about worried about the cat being that close. The first one you could hear, it's danger for your pet or whatever it was. The first one,
Yeah, bad place for your pet.
bad place for your pet. It's right after that, a couple of seconds, I think.
Yeah.
There's another
cat does
statement
that
about danger.
Every winter, the cat does that. I'm surprised he has not combusted yet. Every winter, he is right on that thing like a flounder on a fillet. I mean, he just. I don't know what he's doing.
Too funny.
It's cold. Please light me on fire. I guess that's how he.
Right.
Right? He's still there, so obviously the heater's working correctly, and he's still alive. So
he's
thumbs
still
up
alive.
there.
Noted.
What's
Noted.
amazing is you got two spirits. One's concerned about the cat, and the other one likes your heater.
Yeah.
And actually, the one that I heard was saying something bad about the cat. I forgot what it said.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
So there's a
maybe
third one that
that's
didn't like the
free.
cat at all.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Usually where there's positive spirits, there's negative ones as well. So that's just that balance. And so, one's happy the cat's okay. The other one wants to see him burst in the flame. So,
Yeah.
all right.
That's really bad.
So this next clip I'm going to play is an SLS camera. And it's in...
Oh, I love this one.
It's in Kingsland Manor, and this is a very cool clip.
Yeah.
We have experimented with the SLS for years, and it's the same thing of any paranormal equipment. You've always got people saying, "Oh, that's nothing." It'll pick up stick figures everywhere. There's some truth to that, but there's also some truth where we've had it do things that we just cannot explain for any reason. And so let me have you give a little intro to this one, and we'll play it for the audience.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, if you go into a medical facility and they have equipment, right, none of it works 100% of the time. So that as a knock against paranormal equipment is in my opinion, weak at best. Nothing's 100%. Nothing works all the time.
Right.
It can be fooled. Yes, there's ways, that can be fooled. So the gentleman who was operating the camera tonight is a gentleman from New York City. His name is Giuseppe Cardona. He's one of those guys, if he's got gear on an investigation, whatever he's going to do is going to be rock solid and reliable. You don't have to worry about him messing up, forgetting to measure something, lock something down, whatever. So he had the camera static. He wasn't moving. It was a bar behind me, and there were stools. It wasn't mapping any of that stuff. It didn't get tricked the whole time. The figure shows up. Now, you'll see when you roll the clip, the thing that makes this thing really, really unbelievable when we saw it was if something was tricking the camera, when I moved my arm, which people will see in a minute, either my arm would have eclipsed that image or it would have been in front of my arm.
Right.
But it reacted to my physical movement. Inanimate objects don't do that. Not in my house, or I would move.
Right, and that's the perfect way to put it. Let me play this for them so they can see it themselves. So here it comes.
Okay. Just again. Okay, there's two this way. Right? This is the opposite view. So there's two right here, and there's one behind you. Okay, there's two orbs in front of you. Right here, right by the little. Okay, now Lourdes just walked away. And one just followed you, one stayed. No, they're gone. No, they followed. One went after you right away. Okay, this is not Lourdes. This is Lourdes. You see this, right?
Are you seeing any figures or just orbs?
No, figure. There's a figure. There's the orb here.
The orb is there and there is behind you.
Where's the figure? Right side, left
The
side?
figure is behind you.
That side.
That's it.
The orb is here.
Yes.
To your right.
Put your left hand up. Put your right hand up.
Oh my God.
Okay, your right hand. I'm sorry. Put your left hand up.
Nobody said Simon Says.
That orb is still there. You just went to, you went like this. If I smacked his head, he ducked.
Really?
Oh my God! Yes, he's still there. Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
It's gone. I'm coming across you.
It's gone. Oh, there it is. He came back. It was an orb that came back.
I wasn't striking anybody. I was just reaching out.
Yes, he wasn't trying to hurt you at all.
I was not hurting at all.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Wow.
That was just, you literally, at the moment you moved your arm, he ducked.
It looks like a kid because it's short.
It could be, but the real important aspect of what Ron was saying was the reaction of whatever that was to his movement of the arm, literally right over or right towards its head, and it ducked to get out of the way. That
was awesome.
Right, 'cause it's not like it was mapping. It's not like it was mapping a table or a chair, and then like the chair ducked or whatever. Because that's where people get a little confused with the SLS. You got to make sure it's not mapping a table or a chair, because that happens or whatever. There was nothing there, and then it ducked.
Right, exactly.
It's critical.
Yeah, that was a display of an intelligence. It was reacting to a physical movement, which inanimate things that would trick it would not do. And again, the guy Giuseppe Cardona who shot it, he was freaking out. So I'm standing there like, oh, what is going on? Because I couldn't see the monitor. And the other interesting thing that I can't explain is that if you saw at the end of it, there were two green orbs. The SLS camera doesn't map orbs. But
I was fascinated by that because I've never seen it before. Now we've seen like dark black masses go across when we're using the SLS, but I've never seen a lit up green ball before.
And it's like shot out. There was one like
and then that blue flash that shot across and wiped the screen clean.
It was so weird.
I don't know what that is. I've never seen the camera do that before.
And it's not dust either.
No way. And you're right. When it shot across the screen, it cleared the whole screen out, which is absolutely something I've never seen before either. So that was really cool.
That was the first time for us too.
That was awesome.
That was amazing.
All right, so
quick question for you guys. Daniel wants to know what everybody thinks about the phone apps for spirit boxes and stuff. I would pronounce his last name, but I don't want to murder it. So
I think they can work. if you look at the history of instrumental transcommunication with either EVP or devices, right? Mark Macy got a phone call from Konstantin Radove when Radove was dead for 20 years.
Right.
The Harsh Fishbacks in Luxembourg got stuff on a fax machine. They got stuff on a computer when stuff wasn't networked to the outside world like it is now. They've gotten all different kinds of faxes. So I think that they can manipulate electronics. I think one of the problems is when people have these kind of devices or they try to categorize them as functional or fallible, they need to have it pigeonholed into a category. They're not comfortable with this thing taking 2 seats at the same time. But back to the equipment stuff we just said, not everything works 100% of the time. Right. So I've seen these things work, and I've also seen them give you a bunch of ridiculous words that you go, this is the worst game show ever. What is that?
Right.
So you have to use a level of discernment when you use a device and go, is this timing and relevance based where it makes sense?
Yeah, and there's usually after you experiment with it for a while, you will get a feeling for what is true communication and what's just random words or spitting stuff out. I mean, I know with every box we've ever created, you can tell the difference after you've done it for a while. But if you're new, and Daniel, if you're looking for one to try, I mean, there are some popular ones out there that I know people like. There's the Portal Plus app. There's the not Evox, that's our box. Echobox.
Which if Tony keeps going, we're going to have it for sale here on eBay pretty soon.
No, we won't. We won't. But there are some popular ones out there, and different people will claim some are better than others, and some particular devices just work better for certain people. It depends on maybe your connection and what you're expecting from it. So there's so many sides to getting communication. It's not just the device itself. It's also your connection, your openness to it, how much you believe it's actually going to work or not work. I mean, people who are in a mindset that, this thing's never going to work, guess what? It's never going to work for you just because you're thinking that. So
that's so true. That is so true what you're saying. And as far as the cell phones and apps work, I think that they work. And just as far as the cell phone itself, because one time my daughter was doing a Snapchat video.
Oh yeah.
She's doing a snap, looking all cute or whatever, and then at the end she says bye, and at the end you hear a male voice say, "I love you." And she was on Snapchat. It was through Snapchat, so
Yeah, she was home by herself at the time she sent it. There was nobody.
Yeah, she got all excited. We were doing a show actually.
There was nobody there.
Excited,
my favorite actually tools or equipment when we're doing investigation. I love my cell phone because mostly I get straight EVPs on my cell phone.
It does work extremely well, and people always say to us, what kind of recorder are you using? I'm like, it's my wife's cell phone, but I don't know if they just know how to use it and they figured it out to a point where, but what comes through is clear.
Right, and it's so weird. Every time I record, there's a static on my phone. It never happens every time I do.
Yeah, we get this electrical interference before they speak, and we know it's coming every single time. Yeah. We know when they're around because the recording gives that vibrational frequency, and we're like, okay, somebody's here, they're going to speak, so it's cool.
And sure enough, you get EVPs.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and so I have a Tascam DR5 recorder that I got when I started, and I really like it. And it does that a lot. It'll get a static kind of a crackly kind of a sound that will precede communication.
Correct.
That's a gift. I mean, if you have that, it's kind of like a precursor that something's coming in.
Yeah.
And too, Alexander McRae's got devices. These got no microphone in, and they're still getting a vocal imprint.
Still getting vocal, right.
So some theorize that the vocal imprint could become, how higher the vibration something has, right? If we're communicating with even lower astral, if it's a higher vibrational plane, higher vibrations, if you take that in terms of like liquid, right? Ice vibrates faster, it's water. Water vibrates faster, it's steam. Steam faster, it becomes plasma.
Correct.
So the silicas in the devices is part of what people think may have the ability to take on that vibration, and that's why they're also limited in the amount of stuff they can pull in, because they can only up to a certain level, and then it shuts down. They can't overheat, so to speak.
Exactly, and that's, you know, like I said, I remember my dad saying, well, they have no vocal cords. How are they leaving a voice on the recorder? Well, exactly what you just said. It's that vibrational energy that's going to the machine itself. There is no actual vocal cord, but that vibration is what's leaving the vocal sound on the machine and leaving the EVP you're hearing. All right, with that said, and I got to remember where I left off here, but the next one we're going to play...
Did we play the helicopter already?
No, not yet.
Oh.
No.
We just did the SOS figure, correct?
Oh, correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one we're going to do, same place. Looks like this was Kingsland Manor again, and this is the Harlot. So you want to give an intro to that one?
That's a good one.
Yeah, Kingsland Manor is in Nutley, New Jersey. The newest season of Psychic Kids. It was one of the first 10 episodes. They did an episode at Kingsland Manor. It's a phenomenal place. The historian there, Leon Kish, is a gentleman. He's brilliant. It has history from professional boxers getting trained in the basement, running booze during Prohibition, the speakeasy. This was National Ghost Hunting Day. Everybody was upstairs for the summary of the night and sharing thoughts and whatever. So nobody was in the basement. The camera's showing 99% of the room down there. So you can see there's nobody in it. The radio was on 222 kilohertz long wave. There was no sound except the noise floor, for no reason, bottoms out as if something took the frequency over, and then that comes through and it has tone. We have no explanation. The vernacular that it uses was very relevant to the time period when it was used as a speakeasy, when there was prostitution. We have no explanation because everybody was upstairs, and we don't know anybody that talks like that either.
No.
All right, well, let me play that for our audience, and here it is. Wow, that was fascinating and so clear.
That's the DRV or DVR.
DRV.
Yeah, DRV, direct radio voice.
Direct radio
voice.
That was.
I called it DVR for a while.
DVR.
I know. I keep on forgetting DVR or DRV.
Yeah, that was really cool though.
And at the end of the video, there's a little footnote in the beginning of the night. Like, I'll set it up much like how Marcello Bacci, when he would do sittings, would put his radio on for 15, 20 minutes or so to let it establish the connection bridge before he would try to, have session begin. So I set it up down there in the beginning of the night and had it running. While we were setting up, it was just me and Lourdes and a gentleman from South Jersey named Paul Dixon. Him and his girl Tina Marie Williamson are awesome investigators, the psychic and the investigator. Oh. And so Paul was with us, and I was setting it up, and all of a sudden a female voice came through, and kind of like a murmury hum, but full tone. Mm-hmm. Don't know what it said, but we all stopped, and he goes, "Your eyes were bigger than your glasses." I was like, "What?"
It was kind of like she was humming a tune, like a and it wasn't radio, it wasn't music, it was just a woman going.
Wow.
Yeah,
and then it stopped, and we were all like, "What?" I was like, "No, that's recording."
Yeah. So remember that rule about recording?
Oh yeah.
Guess I'm not going to name any names. Guess which idiot wasn't recording at that specific time?
You know what, though? That happens. I mean, even I've done the same thing where I catch something amazing, and then I look down, and the recorder's completely off. There's not a single one on. It happens. No doubt about it.
I was setting up for the connection bridge. That was all it was, just to let it establish connection to the other side, let it go, and then this woman comes through, and I was like, ah.
And we were all like, damn.
There it is. There it is.
All right, so the next one I'm going to move on to. This one's called Jack Johnson Direct Replies. You want to give a little opening into that?
Yes. Most of the ghost shows that exist at one point have had David Ullman and the Ullman House in Beverly Hills and Cielo Drive, most notably famous for the Manson Tate murders in '69. I started out in LA, like I said, so David would have me come to the tours. I would help him bring people around. He's always been really good to us. We go out on vacation. He's just like, come over. We have dinner with him, and he lets us just run amok through the house. He has the large. I'm a huge fight fan. I worked in the fight industry for a long time. He has a huge collection of Jack Johnson's the first black heavyweight champion. He has all this memorabilia, top hat, menu from a restaurant that Johnson had. It spilled out into the hallway. So much stuff. I've done sessions in that room, and this is part of one of them. When I've heard the responses disembodied and recorded them in real time, it's unbelievable. That house, by the way, and then roll the clip, I'm babbling a lot, but that house is the most consistently active place I have ever been to on both coasts. That house.
Really? Just on the concept of boxers. Do you know who Cherie's ex-husband was?
No, I think I mentioned it to Ron.
Did you?
No, I think, did I mention to you before when we were like, on the Facebook?
I don't think so, but I have a guess.
You posted something about as a boxer. I said, were you a boxer before?
Oh, yeah. I worked in the fight industry. I trained in different things for a number of years, and I worked in the fight business for a while.
Okay. Yeah, my ex, a former two-time world champion in boxing also. He was a bantamweight and featherweight champion. So, yeah, I kind of know about boxing also.
Oh, that's awesome. I actually have, we can talk more after the show afterwards. I worked on a documentary. I'm in the credits. If you know, because you're from the Philippines, correct?
Yes, sir.
You know who Arnel Pineda is?
Of course.
Told you.
Did you see the documentary on Netflix called Don't Stop Believing Every Man's Journey?
No, but he is now in the Journey. He is the lead singer of Journey. When I went to the Philippines, he was in front of me. I'm like, that's Arnel Pineda. Short little guy.
He's amazing. There's a documentary on Netflix called Don't Stop Believing Every Man's Journey. I'm in the credits one name after Steve Perry, the original singer for Journey. Sure. Because I worked on helping funding for the film. That dude's amazing. He's an incredible human being. He's incredibly talented.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me play this clip, and I actually have two versions of it. The first one's your original, and then I did a little enhancement to it, so I'm going to play it twice. So here is the first one.
Male enhancement is what I'm getting from that.
Let me play that.
Tony gave you some enhancement.
Enhancement to the audio.
Tony.
To the audio. All right. Let me play this. Here
That's funny.
Here it comes.
The best boxers right now, pound for pound, are all the little guys. Was that true when you were fighting?
Jack, have you seen Roy Jones Jr. box?
At least we can hear
Are you
it.
impressed with his speed and power? I am too.
Okay, so now in the next one, it's the exact same audio. We manipulated it a little bit to try to bring out the voices, and I've actually put in the responses that I'm hearing. Now, not 100% sure what I'm hearing is correct, but you guys will be able to watch it after and see what you think. But
you enhance this, right?
Yeah,
not enhancement. I'm just
Enhanced.
okay.
Okay.
She needed clarification.
All right,
Yeah.
so now we're going let me play this for the audience and let you guys take a look. So here's the enhanced version.
The best boxers right now, pound for pound, are all the little guys. Was that true when you were fighting?
Jack, have you seen Roy Jones Jr. box? Are you impressed with his speed and power?
When I give him food, I don't think he has food.
I am too.
Okay, so the main difference is that when you ask if he's there, or whoever asks if he's there, and he says, and if he's ever seen the younger boxer box, he clearly says yes and then correct. The last two statements, what I hear on the enhanced version, is first, can't find me, and the last one, they're by me. That's what I'm hearing. So when you get a chance, you can go back and listen to it yourself. But it's
Pretty cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so because time is ticking, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is a...
But we have 24 hours.
Oh, I'm not worried about the time for cutting off. That I'm not worried about at all.
23 left.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next one is an apparition, which looks like was captured on the Queen Mary, which is awesome. Love the Queen Mary.
Amazing.
My favorite place.
Yeah.
Is it really? Yeah, Chris, that's my favorite
love
place
the Queen
too.
Mary.
That's my favorite place too. We would
love
go.
it.
I took her there we went on vacation 2 years in a row, and then last year we couldn't go, and this year we're hoping, by the end of the year it would be possible to go if it's, if things are opening up, whatever. But yeah, that's not because of evidence.
I was just going to say
should.
that if you guys go on a weekend, let us know. It's a 6-hour, 8-hour drive.
6-hour drive.
Yeah.
6 hour, yeah. It's not bad from here.
I used to live 45 minutes from it in Burbank, and I would go every weekend. If I didn't have a hunt anywhere else, I'd go every weekend.
My first experience there, I was 15.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Such a cool place. Such a cool place.
It is. It's an awesome place. The biggest challenge with it, though, is that it's so popular and so busy that I know the first time we were there, we couldn't use a single EVP because there were so many people. Plus, it was
They have an amusement.
They
park
had an amusement
front,
park or a Halloween thing in the
Yeah.
parking lot. They had a haunted house a couple floors down for us. There were so many people screaming, we couldn't tell what we were getting on recording.
Yeah, that's the worst time to go during Halloween.
Right. Well, we now know that.
Dark Harbor.
Yeah.
They do the Dark Harbor thing. But the guy, Matthew Schultz, he's one of the guys I learned from when I first started going there. They do the investigations on the weekends at night, and it starts like 10, 11, or whatever like that. And the first thing he tells the group, he goes, "Who saw that this was going to be like 2 hours on the pamphlet?" And they all go like this. He goes, "It's not." He goes, "If you have to leave, the security will take you out." And it's 4 or so hours, and he lets us stay afterwards when he cleans up to just do extra stuff. So we've sat in the little green room or in the pool and done the EVPs with him for another half an hour.
Oh, lucky.
Jealous.
Yeah.
After it's
Yeah, we
over.
didn't get
He's a
to.
really nice guy. I learned a lot about how to work with the public at a public event from him, from somebody who had really good skills with both investigative and people.
Awesome. Awesome.
So to set up the photo, is this this is the shadow, right?
No, this
It
is
is.
no. This
That's not?
Or so one in the one in the window.
It's the one in the
Oh.
window. And
Oh, yeah.
it actually, to me, and I could be wrong, at first I thought it was just one individual wearing like a there's two, which looks like a smaller boy
Yeah, it looks like a child.
in front of him.
It's the side part of the kid's face here, and it's a woman looking down, and she's not fully there. It looks like an arm or something like this, and we were trying to see if there was a table. I'll try to be quick. We captured that not knowing. I have pictures of the place. It's Art Deco. It's beautiful. I never had a picture of the door with the name observation bar. So I went back the year when we went, took a picture. There was one waitress in there, no patrons. She walked across the door. I went, "Here's my moment." Boom. That's it. When we looked at the picture months later, I forgot I even took it. There's this something in the window. So the next year when we went back, we got a table at the window right in front of that on the inside. We looked at the outside. We looked at the inside. We had, like, she would sit down, I would go outside the room and go like this, and then we would switch, and the waitress is like, are you going to order anything?
After like 20 minutes. After like 20 minutes, she goes, are you guys going to order?
So we had to explain what we were doing. We were trying to debunk or recreate the shot. We don't know how it happened, but there's two people. It looks like a woman looking down on like the side profile of a child, and it's mind-blowing because I know, believer, skeptic, or anywhere in between, that there was nobody there. I waited to take that picture.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
All right, let me play this for them because this is really cool, and here it comes.
Because I think he wants to play some clips that we hear.
Okay, that is so cool. And
can we play that again?
So clear.
You want me to play it again?
Yeah.
All right, I'll play it. It's relatively quick. I'll play it one more time. It's. I took the 3 shots that you had. I put them in a video format, so that's what's playing for the audience.
Perfect. It's perfect.
So here it is one more time, just to take another look. Hold on, let me just make sure I got the right one. Okay, here it comes. Wow, that's just amazing.
It's
creepy.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that unless you're actually there, I mean, to watch it on video is one thing, but like you said, when it's a personal experience, you know there was nobody standing there. You took the picture, you waited and then all of a sudden you look at it and there's something standing there that wasn't there when you took it. That's so cool.
Yeah, I went in the bar and saw that there was nobody in there, and then just the one waitress, and she was on the left side if you're looking into the room from that perspective. As soon as she crossed the doorway, I took it.
He purposely waited until there was no one there. He waited for her to pass by, and he took the shot.
No one I could see.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so the next...
We have to set up a trip there.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're
ready.
We just need this little thing of...
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's our plan now. It's officially a plan now.
Especially now that I know that you know Matt, you can get us back into that pool, because I tried to sneak in the next morning after the investigation. We were like one of 6 people left at the end.
At 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, it was 4.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was 4 in the morning?
I tried to sneak back into the pool and I got caught.
Well, you're obviously on the blacklist now of the Queen Mary pool arena area. So
that's where I heard my first disembodied voice. Was the locker room in the back, the changing room?
Yeah.
That's where I heard my very first disembodied voice was there.
And nobody else heard it. And
nobody else heard it.
And it was on a recorder, though.
Yeah. I was like, did you hear a no? It was like a no. It was a no.
Yeah.
And nobody heard it. And, of course, I was like, I'm going to play it. And I found it. And he was like, holy crap.
Yeah. The bionic ear here caught it.
Yeah. There's nothing better, though, than thinking you've heard something and then going back to a recording and have it be there to verify what you heard. That, to me, is just the most satisfying thing of
I was so freaking happy.
I'll give you a real short story. Just a week or 2 ago, we got to go on our first investigation in months. We were at White Hill Mansion in South Jersey, which was on, I think, Paranormal Lockdown. Nick Roth was there.
Yes.
And we did an EVP session, and I realized I was standing in front of the fireplace on a board that was placed in front of it. It was creaky a little bit. She wanted to send this one, but we couldn't find it fast enough. Nobody else got it but her, but there were other devices recording. And so then I stepped off the board, and she goes, yeah, you should get off there for the next recording EVP session because it made noise. I said, I realized it would probably be louder if I stepped off during the recording, so I tried to stay still. And then... So right before I started my recorder on the next session, but there were cameras running, and she's recording constantly.
Yeah, so I said, so get off the board, like reminding him, get off the board. So
And then a male voice, which was none of us, because there were two other guys in the room here and two other over here, and I could see them, and nobody reacted, and it said, "Get off the board, you faggot."
Oh my gosh.
It goes, "Yeah, get off the board, you faggot." Just like that. And it was like strong. It wasn't whispery. It was like had full tone.
Yeah.
I wish
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's hilarious, and we've run into that too. As a matter of fact, Chris and Audra and Sheree and I were just talking that one of these nights we're gonna do just like a paranormal blooper show, and some of them is where we get responses from spirit that are just so crazy responses, like the one when we were in San Carlos and you asked, "Does Angela use this room?" That one just cracks me up.
I know.
Well, we'll have to play that one sometime we do a blooper show. But okay, let me move on to the next one. So the next one is actually what we were talking about previously. It is a direct radio voice, meaning that the radio is not tuned in to any frequency at all. You could leave the radio on all day. You'd hear nothing but sort of the low rumbling background static noise. And this one's titled DRV from August.
Okay.
So I am going to play this one, and here it comes.
If you're still hearing me, can you repeat "love and light" again? You know what mobile apps are that people use here to communicate? Can you say mobile app if you know what it is?
I mean,
crazy.
It's amazing though that you can clearly hear that's vocal speech. No doubt about it. You can hear what's being said. You can hear. For some people, it might take a little time to train the ear to be able to pick it out. But when we first heard it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I mean, they're calling you by name. Mm-hmm. They're asking where you are. They're answering. It's incredible, and that's from a blank radio station, and they're direct answers. So I mean, even if someone was to say, "Oh, you're picking up some other radio frequency," or the answers are relevant to what was being said, and that just doesn't happen.
It's very clear. Even though you don't wear headphones in it, you can still hear it.
Oh yeah, you can hear those responses. No headphones needed. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys, all four of you are so well attuned to listening to this stuff. So I was thrilled that you heard it.
It's very clear.
It's very clear.
But you said something. I've sent stuff before to my sister, and I'm like, did you hear it? And she's like, nah, I don't hear anything.
Yeah, they don't hear it.
It's the biggest anticlimactic response I could have had. I'll be in the corner weeping, listening to Sam Smith music now. Thanks very much. But that's 222 kilohertz, and it just the noise floor, and I should let her tell you, like, the first time we started doing this stuff, and by the way, she meticulous notes. She's logging the moon cycle, the barometric pressure, the weather, the frequency. We've done stuff before. We've done it in radio stuff. It's called heterodyning, where we're blending frequencies into one. So we've used ultra high, and we've blended ultra high frequency with long wave, and to try to create a different set of interference. And she's logging everything. She got everything logged down. So the first time we did one of those sessions and we reviewed it and she heard those voices, she hugged the radio.
I love this radio. I love it.
Looking for that enhancement.
This one right here.
Yeah.
I love this baby right here.
Yeah, well, you do get fond of a piece of equipment that does give you answers, and it's just a natural effect. I mean, I've got ones that personally I prefer, and I prefer them because it spit out stuff that was amazing, and therefore, you get attached.
And that's part of the intent factor you mentioned before too. Like Dr. Annabella Cardoso, who's one of the proponents of ITC, and she worked with the greats of all greats like Martello Bacci. She has 4 radios running in her studio with a microphone in between closest to the radio that usually produces, and one microphone to her. They go into a mixing board, and she still records on cassette because the machine works. Yep. And she asked one time to Spirit, why do you always come through primarily this given radio? And they said, because that one is your favorite.
Yeah. So true. That's why your phone does what it does, because
that's what I was gonna say. It's partly her and
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's radiophony. Radiophony is the use or study of radios to communicate. And there's a theory, I guess it's like the human antenna. Our energy, we're part of the equation, right. Which Radovay always used to say was part of the problem with assessing both critically and as a full believer, because you're part of the equation that you're trying to assess and calculate. Right.
The least important thing actually is the equipment. Right. It's us and the other side. Exactly. So, and then the equipment, it helps, but it really is the least important part.
So that's so true.
And to add what Daniel asked about earlier, it's not what you use, it what gives you an intelligent response to the investigation that you're doing at the time. Right. I mean, you can use all kinds of equipment, but when you get that intelligent response, it's intelligent, and that's the evidence that you got. And it doesn't matter what you're using; you can tell that the response is real.
Right.
I could not agree more. Absolutely.
All right, so I am going to move then to the next clip, which is titled Class A EVP from the Shanley Hotel. You want to give a little intro into this one?
I think, is this the one that had to use, is this the one with, I was using an app and I said I was going to shut it down?
Yes.
There was a guy named Jim Royer who was temporarily running all the investigative stuff. There was nobody at the Shanley. Right now it's under new ownership. A woman named Kelly who's phenomenal. It's a great place. If you ever come back east, that is a place, if you ever come out this way, we would love to bring you there.
Would love to go there. I heard great things about it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, awesome place.
So we were using an app by a group called Paranormal Den, called Forbidden Language or Forgotten Language or whatever, and the guy thought he heard it.
We know Jason well.
Jason Emmerich. Yeah, he's awesome. I sent it to him right away, and I went, listen, I know we haven't talked much, but your group's coming through my sessions, so you owe me like $750 for the night. He's awesome. So the guy Jim thought he heard something. He wanted to pause and listen to his recorder before he forgot, and so that's where it leads up to. I said, all right, I'm going to shut it off, and I called the app by the group's name who makes it Paranormal Den.
Right.
And then so that's where it goes from there.
All right, so let me play that, and here it comes.
Let's see if that's what I need.
Okay.
I can pause it. You want to take a break for a minute? You want to take a break from that?
Yeah, let's take a little bit.
Alright, we're going to shut the Paranormal Den down.
Wow, that was really cool. Didn't you
By
help
the
with
way,
that logo?
that logo looks familiar. My daughter drew
The
that
unseen
one.
eye.
Did you do the logo?
Yeah, my daughter actually drew that one for Jason.
Oh, that's awesome. It's great.
Oh yeah.
He had part of the design though. You just created it to what he had asked for. So they can't take full credit. He knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
They just created it for him. But that was really cool. That was really cool.
I was excited to send it to him after it happened. It went, your team just came through my
Yeah.
That's cool.
Here you be, team.
All right, so
We should say hi to Jason.
Yeah, hi Jason if you're watching.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Jason and Tari, yep. They we went and investigated the Bel Air house with them. Oh man, what was that? 2-3 years ago? It's been a while, but they're good people, very good people.
Yeah, he's a good guy. That's really cool. That's another place. We have a few places on our bucket list.
That's another one.
One of which you probably never heard of this place. It's called Copper Canyon Research.
Oh no, I don't know where is that.
I think I've heard of that. You guys are welcome anytime.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Oh, you have no idea. We want to come out there.
What are you guys doing on Saturday?
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going down there Saturday.
4th of July.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right,
place
so
looks unbelievable.
this next one I'm gonna play absolutely cracks me up, and it's called. Sorry, my eyes are not like they used to be. Curtis Hotel, and you are asking for a specific word to be said. I'm not going to give it away.
This one's phenomenal.
But go ahead, give a little intro to that one, and I'll play it.
So that was an event by a group called Ghost Magnets with a Twist. I used to work with. They're very family oriented. They're very nice people. They get some really, really awesome locations. So this is in Connecticut, the Curtis House. The guest that night to speak about demonology and the darker side of stuff a little bit was Tony Spera and his daughter Judy. Tony is the son-in-law of Ed and Lorraine Warren. People know from the Conjuring films and Annabelle. All right. So I didn't know. I didn't know at the time, I guess, but Johnny Zappis, who is their Ed and Lorraine Warren's nephew.
I didn't know that.
So him and Tony, I guess, don't see eye to eye. I didn't know it at the time, but Tony was there, and I had known from talking to Johnny that there was a word, like you'll call somebody, some guys will go, hey buddy, hey pal, hey pal, hey pal. You know, it's everybody's pal, right? So
bro or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ed Warren used to call everybody asshole. I guess that was the thing.
That's like my type of guy.
This asshole, come here, this asshole, that asshole. That's what was explained to me. So we were getting Ed a lot. Ed was coming through. We were using Echovox. Sandra and Robert Bandoff from Barefoot Paranormal were there. People from the group were there. And so we were getting Ed a lot. And we thought maybe because Tony and Judy were there. Then I say in the clip that finally I want to just narrow down if this is Ed. So I asked him for an identifier as an answer. What did you always call people? What did Johnny tell you not to say? And you hear the response because everybody knew the answer. And when it came through, it was like...
This is an awesome clip.
This is an awesome clip.
Yeah.
All right, so here it is for our audience.
That was odd, right? That was Ron or John. Was it John?
I thought I heard Zappis and that John.
Thank you. I did too, but I didn't want to say it.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the second time I've heard it.
Is this? I'm actually going to ask now. I'm not trying to lead the witness here, but is this Ed Warren? What's Ed's favorite word? What does John tell you not to say? That's it. Son of a gun. Now you know I have to send this file to John. Because we're recording it like you would want him to. Holy shit.
All right, there's no denying that. And, you know, it's funny because when you also, just before the end part where he clearly said the word you were looking for, which was phenomenal, but you asked if it was Ed, and there's a very clear yes, male voice yes, right after you asked that question.
Somebody pointed that out after I had already done the video and annotated it, and I was like, I'm not going to go back in it.
She does that. Sheree will do that to me, too. She goes, you missed something. I'm like, there's like 40 of them in there. I didn't want to type everything out.
Yeah. But I heard it afterwards, too, when somebody pointed out. Yeah, you heard everybody's reaction, and Barefoot Paranormal, Bob and Sandra, they had video, so they ran video on it, so everybody heard it, and that's why the reaction was there. It was really funny.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was great.
Oh, that was phenomenal. When I was reviewing the evidence that Tony sent me that you'd sent over, I showed this one to Audrey, and I'm a big Ed and Lorraine fan. Oh, big time. And when I saw this one, I just jumped out of my chair at my desk. It was crazy. It was a phenomenal catch, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we had the opportunity to spend a little time talking and working with Tony, and Tony and Judy Sparrow are such sweet people, and Johnny Zappis too. They're all really, really kind to us. We're hoping to maybe do something with Tony in the next couple months or so. His tech guy, Timothy Dalton. I call him Dr. DR6. Do you know Tim?
Oh yeah, we know Tim very well.
We brought him to some investigations that we did out in Pennsylvania. We did great. If you guys were closer, we'd be dragging your asses out all the time.
Yeah, it's a shame. We're not. That distance thing is a real pain.
He's supposed to come over here for your birthday too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we brought him to a bunch of stuff. They're really cool people. If you ever, again, it's another thing. If you ever come out east, you go to Shanley Hotel, and then we could maybe see if we can get them to take us up to the museum. Tim took us to Ed Warren's grave to do a session. And literally, it started raining right after we finished.
Wow!
But after we did a Halloween dinner thing that Tony and Judy had invited us to, and when it was over, we went to the gravesite for a little bit. That Tim brought us over, and we recorded some stuff.
That's phenomenal.
Very cool.
But not as good as that.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, so the next clip I'm going to play, and this one fits in line because, they're about a month and a half ago, they did the live at the Conjuring House, and then, there were all sorts of interviews that were happening with Andrea Perrin, and we had on a few weeks ago Corey and Jennifer Heinzen. Well, this is it looks like a DVR response from or at the Conjuring House, correct?
No, so we're supposed to go there actually this month on the 18th of July. We have a small group of us supposed to stay there. We were originally booked or almost booked in April, and there was a mix-up in communication on securing the place, and so we ended up losing the date, which thankfully we did because we probably wouldn't have been able to go in April. So we're going, and so in anticipation of going, and you, Chris, probably know too that the Warrens used to have things come at them when they were going to a location to cleanse it ahead of time. So knowing that they might know we're coming, I figured when we're doing sessions, we do weekly sittings. We have a regular night, and since quarantine stuff had started, we started doing extra sittings. I thought, we're going there. Let's ask. Let's see if we get anything on it. And so that was the responses you'll hear. Were born out of just the noise floor.
Right, so that happened here. That response happened here.
Yeah, that happened. That happened in the Rongering House.
That's awesome.
Love that name.
Yes.
You need to trademark that, Ron. The
Rongering House.
Trademark that.
I have successfully avoided maturity for years.
All right. Well, this clip is awesome. So let me play this for our audience. And here it comes.
See.
We're supposed to go with a group to the Conjuring House with the story that the Warrens have in July. How would you describe the Conjuring House to us?
Wow. You know, to get that response and it's so clear. I mean, each word, you know, evil, beware. I mean,
it speaks here, yeah.
That's crazy.
It was
so
creepy.
You guys are
yeah,
going there July 18th?
Yeah, we're as close to that as Chris and you guys were to the Queen Mary. It's probably in the ballpark of around 5 hours drive.
Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Are you guys prepared?
I have extra underwear, toothbrush.
In case I EVP myself.
That's right.
Correct. Chris, you know what you should Google too, since you're a fan of the Queen Mary also, where we live here, we're in Edgewater, New Jersey, so we're literally looking out the window at the Upper West Side of New York City.
Oh, wow.
If you look and Google, at one point when the Queen Mary was still seaworthy, and it held maritime records for speed, by the way, it was in this very area. You can see pictures of it. There's old black and white photos of it going up the Hudson River.
Wow.
So it sailed through this area, and I sure wish it was still here now.
I know, it's so amazing that it used to pass by there. It's
that's
great.
so cool.
History is so cool.
Yeah, Hitler had a bounty of around $250,000, which at that time was quite a bit for any of the U-boats to sink it.
Oh.
So it would go full speed. It was a troop transport at one point. They called it the Grey Ghost. It had a capacity of close to 4,000 or 5,000 people, but during the war, when they were transporting people, they had like 14,000 or 16,000 people on at once. And 2 boats used to flank it like this to pick off any ships or U-boats or whatever. And one of them, I think, stayed in the path too long, and it was gandering over at the Queen Mary, the RSM Curacao, and it cut in front of the ship, and the Queen Mary sawed it in half.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that story.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
But the history is fascinating on that bit. That place is amazing.
Awesome.
We have to go.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. We definitely have to. How much fun would that be, too?
Yeah, we'll have a ball.
All right.
Next week.
So the next one I'm going to play is titled No Helicopter.
Oh, not a helicopter. Yeah, that one happened here. We usually do our sitting in the same space over in the living room, the same kind of. So this one night we were sitting at the table where we are right now, and the interference on the 222 kilohertz sounded different, right?
Yeah.
And
it was weird sound. It sounded weird.
It was choppy, and you'll hear it on the recording in the beginning. I think at that night I was at 240 kilohertz. I tuned up a little bit, and it's got this choppy sound to it, so I pointed it out. I went, hey, we're right by the river, by the city. Maybe there's something coming through that's interfering with it, from a helicopter or who knows. And less than 2 minutes later, a voice corrected that.
All right, let me play that. Here it comes. Wow. Clearly they verbally expressed, not a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild. When we heard that one in review, we were like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Because we never had that sound. It sounded like a helicopter. We're like, maybe it's just a bad night.
And it's
I sent that one to Dr. Annabella Cardoso in Spain, and she was like, ooh, that one's good.
Yeah,
like,
that was an amazing piece. And yeah, I'm not sure what that was, if it wasn't actually what.
Let me pause you. Timothy is now watching.
Oh, he must have heard his name. His ears were ringing. Timothy, how you doing?
Dr. DR60?
Dr.
Yeah.
DR60.
He's so much fun to work with. He's really good. If you believe in energy and positive energy and what people bring to the event, and that can be a plus, that guy's good to have around. And he gets really good stuff. And I think that he should realize that he probably gets good stuff because he's good stuff. He's a good person.
He's very caring.
He gets great stuff, and we invited him on as well. I know that his schedule right now is super busy. He did write to me today and said, give me a chance to get things, wait till they calm down, and I'll give you a chance to, because we wanted to invite him on the show as well. So we'll get that opportunity as soon as your time opens up, Timothy. We'll get you on.
Yeah, he's great. That's cool that you guys make the opportunity for people in different parts of the country and stuff too. And by the way, the format of the show, this is awesome, right?
Yes, it looks good.
Well, the thing we like about it is that we can play evidence that we've caught all day, but it opens up that door to let other people who do investigations, gives them a chance to spotlight what they've got, and tonight's show is awesome because you just got a slew of great stuff.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Our longest show to date.
Yes, very.
Oh wow!
Wait,
all right.
How are you guys?
So what?
He said, "How are you guys?"
Timothy did.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to play this next one. This is the shadow figure. Where was this captured, Ron?
All right, so this is during the month of Halloween when the Queen Mary does all that tour stuff you're talking about. So Matt Schultz took the group in a different direction. If you saw in Ghost Adventures, when there was a shadow that walked past the one door at the back of the entrance of the engine room, and Zach was like, wait, what was that? So the doorway he saw the shadow, we had just gone through that. We were in a big open gallery area that used to be a boiler back in the day. At the other end of the thing was the doorway where that photo is. The tour was oversold that night, so instead of 20-something people, they had like 43 people. The guy knew me, and at the time, the person I was with had been doing this. He goes, you can walk ahead. You've heard my spiel about the history. Just walk ahead. So we went 20, 30, 40 feet ahead of the group. Everybody, including the security guard who lets you into that room, so nobody has access to that area. That's another key thing. Everybody's facing that way, except Matt, because he's talking to the crowd, so his back is towards that door. So I took a couple throwaway pictures just before we went in the room. I just had the instinct, let me just take a couple of the corner, the door. Then everybody walked through the room, and I didn't think anything of it. 5-6 hours later, I'm back at my place in Burbank, and I'm just going through pictures, and I see this, and I'm like, what? And I zoomed in, and then I put it down, and I sent it across the table to the other person. I asked her, I said, tell me if you see anything here. And her jaw just dropped, and she went, holy shit, you caught something. I did not see that with my eyes. That picture's in a book. You can get it on Amazon, and they sell it on the ship. It's, they have the ghost stuff, all the different towns. The Ghost of the Queen Mary book, it's in there. They vetted the picture to make sure it wasn't manipulated. I took it with a Samsung Galaxy Note 3 camera at the time. You talk about the cell phones, that was a cell phone photo. And it to this day, if I have any self-doubt about paranormal, I go, oh, maybe I look at that picture, and that's like the most sobering thing, because that still I look at it's a great capture.
Yeah.
It's an incredible shot. Let me play that for our audience. Here it comes. That's just incredible. I mean, you can when we zoomed in on it, I mean, you can literally see
The hand.
on the door. You can see
The
either
feet.
shoes or feet. I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
Underneath
Yeah.
whatever this flowing black shadow cape. It's an amazing shot.
I showed it to Bill Chappell one time. I chatted with him on Facebook, and he'd even pointed out that it's casting forward shadow.
Right.
The bottom of it is partly opaque, so there's some light coming through it and some isn't. The doorway itself, there's no handles on the outside of those doors. They're flush. It's a push bar on the inside. So there's no explanation for the hand or the arm in front of it. The room, and you may know this, Chris, from being inside that room, there's perimeter lights around the floor for the lighting when you go in boiler room number 3.
Oh, okay, yes.
So those aren't because somebody said to me, are those white sneakers? I went, who would put all black on, who had no access to that part of the ship, and then put white sneakers on with it? It looks almost like feet because it's the white lights shining underneath it from the perimeter in the back. If you look at the path of the light beams, it's the 2 perimeter lights from the floor.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's an awesome capture, though. I can see why you'd revert back to that if you're ever doubting because that's amazing. I haven't seen one in a long time that distinct and that pronounced.
Yeah, it's. I got it once. At all the times I've been there, that's the only visual capture. That one and the other one, but of a shadow figure. My best guess, if I had to, I think it looks like it might be what would be categorized as Jinn, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have one also. Remember when we went to Douglas?
Yeah, you caught the one, and I actually caught the one in the Queen Mary. Remember when I was waiting I just wanted the long haul shot with nobody in it. And so I was waiting for people to move out of the way. Finally took the picture. Well, as I clicked the button, this
it's a person.
Hotel person came out from one of the corners. So he actually interrupted my shot. But way down the hall is this shadow figure standing, which there was nobody there. Now, the guy that walked out, I understand where he came from, but the other figure farther down the hall, which when you zoom in is like shadow figure, no idea where that came from.
Okay, let's go to Queen Mary.
I'd love to see that.
All right, so the next one I'm going to play is titled Not by Horse. And this one, this is awesome. I love this one.
Talk about a Class A.
Yeah.
Class A.
It's Echovox 2.0. It's before the new version came out. It was running through the mini portal. It's a place called Beekman Arms in New York State. It's about 2 hours or so from here. It's a little further than where the Shanley Hotel is. It's another place on the northeast, like White Hill Mansion that we mentioned before, that lays claim to the presence of George Washington. They say that he was there watching troops do maneuvers on the front lawn. It's a really, really awesome old historic place. And so it was the end of the night, right? And it was like
It was the end. It was
you, me, and the one girl who worked there.
Yeah,
right?
it's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
It's like 4 in the morning.
It was late
because we don't sleep when we don't. We get the whole place for the whole night.
Yeah. We go for every little bit that we can.
Yeah.
We do. We milk it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can always catch up on sleep later when you're back home. When you're out, yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
So this came through. I asked a multiple choice question, and it took. And I'll do that sometimes to see if I can make it less pareidolia friendly, so you can see if it's really multiple choice, and it picked one of them.
All right, well, here is that clip, because this is really cool. Here it is.
How do you travel? By horse? By car?
Not by horse.
Not by horse.
Not by horse. Not by horse.
You you can't ask for a clearer, more distinct answer than that. I
It's
mean,
a Class A
Class A,
EV.
clearly not by horse.
No. And I looped it at the end, just, it didn't say it 3 times. It said it once,
right.
but then just for people who watch it who may not, I figured you would know that, but.
Yeah, but that, I mean, clearly, you can't even, there's no even trying to discern what was said. I mean, that's clear as a bell.
I'm just gonna take Loki out. He wants to go pee.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna take me out.
Well, she went the wrong way, so. All right, so this there's only 2 left to play, and the next one, it looks like Lourdes gets sort of racially insulted in this clip.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And
this is a place. Yeah, this is a place out in Long Island, New York. Island Paranormal Society, headed up by Matt and Josie Haas. They're awesome. They call this place the Lab. It's not on the map for public ghost hunts, but it is a place that has incredible history. That he does a phenomenal job of getting locations. So he got this place as kind of like a lab. So anywhere he wants to go and work out techniques, to experiment, whatever. Most of the time when they're not doing any kind of a formal event, we would have access to the place. We were in the servants' quarters.
On the 3rd floor.
On the 3rd floor. She asks if we're speaking to the lady of the house. Nobody reacts. We didn't hear anything. That's when the word comes through. And then I asked whose quarters we're in, and then it gives us a very distinct individual's name.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
It did.
Right after that.
And it's so funny because when at first I didn't hear my name, and they're like, it said Lourdes, and I'm like, no, it didn't. It doesn't even make sense. It's not even relevant to the question. But then later on, we reviewed, and then we heard that name, and then everything tied in together, and it made sense.
Before he plays it real fast, you know how we talked before about fighting over EVPs not hearing stuff?
Yeah.
When we reviewed that one, what happened?
Oh my God. Ron couldn't stop laughing. He was crying, laughing. And then I started laughing. And we couldn't stop laughing. It was so funny.
I couldn't believe that something like that, like an insult, like a racial insult would come through in that. It was terrible, but I was like, wow, that's so funny.
Yeah, he had a ball.
All right, well, let me play this one, and here it comes.
Are we speaking to the lady in the house?
The area we're in belonged to who? Whose quarters were these? Lourdes.
No,
Lourdes. I heard Lourdes. What's Lourdes? Someone said Lourdes. I thought it was
Wow.
That was mean spirit.
Yeah, mean spirit in the beginning there, but clearly your name. I mean,
But you know, it's funny when we went back. Of course, I had to use it to my advantage. So I was like,
keeper of notes.
I was like, am I considered a free woman or a slave? And it says immediately servant. So it corrected me because it was the servant's quarters. So I'm thinking free woman or slave, and it goes servant.
On a subsequent visit, she used the previous event's evidence as a trigger object. I was like, wow.
We were
That's awesome.
We were using the S box, and it came out right. It was the S box.
Yeah, that was the S box.
Yeah, we were using the S box, and it was servant real clear. I was like,
S
I don't
Sander.
mind. I'll take one for the team as long as we keep getting responses.
No, but that is a perfect example of an intelligent response. Not only have you been there one time and it said your name, but the second time you asked the question and it referred back to the first time.
Exactly.
That is highly intelligent response.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Chris, because, I mean, anytime you can tie one trip to another and then have that activity tie those two events together clearly shows something far beyond, random words coming through, through a box.
Yeah,
it was brilliant planning on her part. Nobody knew. Just in the moment, she's like, you know what? I'm going to use that last thing to see if I can trigger a response. And so I was like, that was a great. I heard her. I said, what a great idea.
I was trying to find that one for you guys too, Becca.
Hey, before Tony plays that last clip, hey Ron, Timothy wants your autograph. By the way,
Just an autograph. What about picture?
he specifically said, "I want Ron's autograph."
He can have it. All he has to do is give me a check at a restaurant with a MasterCard, and I'll sign it.
There you go. Good answer.
It's not worth any.
Maybe he wants to buy the Rondering house.
Dr. DR60.
He's good with that machine, though. I mean,
yeah.
I've seen him capture stuff that, just amazement. Like I said, one of the reasons why we had asked him to come on as a guest, and I'm sure he will when his time frame opens up. But he captures some amazing stuff with that machine.
Yeah, he does it, and that's a perfect example. Not everybody gets the stuff that he gets. Some people do, some don't, and I believe that part of the equation is the magic of the device. It works really well. It's got that little white noises, grindy kind of a thing that's internal to the mechanism that I think gives audio support for EVP.
Right.
But he also really brings something to it, and that's one of the reasons that thing works so well for him.
He has a connection. He does. He has a connection.
Absolutely, and like we were saying before, it's not necessarily the equipment. It's that connection. That's really the whole variable to all of this. So true. All right, so this last clip.
And the finale.
Yeah, this one is a very phenomenal clip, and it's a direct radio voice response. And this one's very personal to Ron because he had lost his mother back in January of 2019. And this is actually a little tribute to her and a response of what sounds to me like how she's doing. So let me play this real quick, and then we'll let Ron speak after I play it. And here it comes. Nope, hit the wrong button. Here it comes. All right, let's try that again. I hit the wrong
button again?
No, I hit the wrong video. All right, sorry, here we go.
Somebody give me some information while I'm getting cleaned up in the other room. Some information on my mom. What happened to her, if you know, where she is, how she is. Be right back. Wow. I mean, that's just
No words on that one.
None.
I appreciate you showing it. That capture came about for two reasons. One, she had suggested, I was between jobs at the time and I was home. She's like, you should just run the radio a lot, put it on, record, whatever. And so I was by myself and I was going to take a shower, so I put the thing on, and it was in the other room, and I just said in the beginning of the actual recording, it was like a half an hour recording. I was like, hey, you know, any update on my mom, let me know how she's doing. And then so that was what I found later. For the last few years before she'd passed, she had a knee replacement that went wrong, and there was infection. They had to take it out, do it again, take it out, do it again, rehab hospitals for a while. She was really unhappy for the last few years because it took the value of life and quality of life down a lot. So that's when I asked how she was doing. Nothing hurts now, everything's better without the pain, was completely relevant to what I wanted to know and to why I would even ask that question, because that was really what plagued her for the last few years.
Sure. So perfect.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I can't thank you guys enough for taking the unbelievable amount of time you gave us tonight, the amazing clips that you shared not only with us, but with our entire audience. Can't thank you enough for that. This was a great show, very informative, so many different aspects and areas covered within the paranormal. So we just want to say thank you very much for coming on and spending this time with us.
We have had an extreme response to you guys being on. It's been phenomenal. Longest show that we've had, the most responses that we've had. You guys are phenomenal people. You're great people. We're glad that we had you on.
Yeah.
That means a lot. We've had the utmost respect for what you guys have been doing and for who you are, and this was, to us, was like a huge honor and opportunity to be able to be on this show.
Yeah, we were excited.
Yeah,
very, very excited.
And so you're giving a platform to people in different parts of the country or world to do this, to speak, to share the evidence. The way you do it is such a really comfortable and just such a it comes across so smooth, right? And just genuine. Yeah. My advice is you keep doing what you're doing. You guys have a respect and a reverence for the field, and you've shown that to us, and we, this for us, this means everything coming from people like you.
We thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Like I said, we have that same thanks back to you guys for coming on.
Very much so.
Sure.
And we, I've kept an eye on your work for quite some time, and you do fantastic things. We've seen that tonight. But again, just wanted to say thank you. We want to say thank you to our entire audience that participated. If we missed questions you may have asked, we apologize. We'll go back through after and make sure
I've been watching, and everybody's just been enjoying the show. Anthony Simonelli even said awesome show. So
cool.
He's a great guy. Anthony Simonelli's with Seekers Club with the Paranormal we mentioned before. We're going to the Conjuring House with him. We've done a lot of things with him. He's been doing this for like 30 years. He's as much a student today as he ever was. And you would love this guy. He's just one of the nicest people you could possibly meet.
Awesome. Well, when you do go to the Conjuring House, if you see Jen and Corey, say hi to us for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely will.
Will do.
And listen, everybody watching the show is a witness now that we said we're going to plan to get together and do something.
We're going to have to now. And whether we get out east or whether you guys get out west, let us know. I mean, the Queen Mary is always an option. Just the Copper Canyon is an option. We would love to have you experience that building, because it holds some secrets of its own, and it's always a good time. So if you ever get our way or we get your way, we'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, we have to take the if out of that and make that a win.
Because it's on our bucket list.
Yeah, not an if. You're right, a win. Absolutely, a win, not an if.
Yeah, we love that.
All right, well, Chris,
don't hang up.
Oh, wait, what?
No, later when we're.
Oh yeah.
So we can.
Chris, you want to give our standard closing statement?
Don't forget, guys. Stay haunted.
Stay haunted.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.